I'm in love with a girl who's in love with my brother, and it's completely my fault they're together. A girl from my class, Allie, walked over with a pink envelope and said shyly, "This is for you." My friends beside me started whistling and making jokes while I stared at the love letter. I opened it halfway and saw, "I've been watching you for months," written in careful handwriting. Not this again. I tried handing her back the letter, saying as politely as I could, "You seem nice, but you're not really my type." "I'm sorry." She blinked at me twice before bursting into laughter. "That letter's not for you. It's for your brother Daniel. I just need you to pass it along." The entire hallway exploded with laughter. I stood there feeling completely humiliated, and in the heat of the moment, I ripped the pink envelope right down the middle and kept tearing until it was confetti on the floor. "My brother's taken, and even if he wasn't, he wouldn't be interested anyway," I told her coldly. Allie stared at the pieces of paper scattered on the floor, while my friends dragged me away. Since then, every time we'd see each other at school, we'd break out into this battle of sarcastic comebacks, and honestly, I liked it. "Oh look, it's the guy who tears up people's property," she'd say while grabbing books from her locker. "Oh look, it's the girl who can't take a hint," I'd respond, grinning. Our friends thought we were flirting, but we'd both just scrunch our faces and say "you never" at the same time, which only made them laugh harder. But then, something happened. We ended up partners for a project and spent 3 weeks arguing about the presentation slides. But one afternoon, we both accidentally reached for the same textbook, and our hands touched. We both pulled back like we'd been electrocuted, the book slamming onto the carpeted floor. "You're not gonna make this weird, right?" she said, her face flushing red. "Me? You're the one who freaked out first," I argued, trying my best to show I was unaffected, but things changed after that. We weren't arguing as much. She started saving a seat for me in class and even looked for me when I wasn't there. And one time while we were studying, I ended up dozing off. I woke up feeling her hand on my face, her fingers carefully moving my hair back. I opened my eyes and stared at her while she jerked away, flustered. "Sorry, you had hair in your face and it was annoying to look at." But I liked it. Her hand in my hair. I placed her hand back on my head and closed my eyes. "This is random, but you should go to prom this year. It's coming up soon." She laughed, playing with my hair again. "Sorry, you're not my type," she threw back at me. The callback made me smile, but then I got serious. "I mean it. I want to see you there," I told her. She paused. "Are you asking me to—" The librarian walked over just then. "Library's closing in 5 minutes." We both shot up from our seats and awkwardly left. When I got home, my brother Daniel was waiting in my room holding pieces of pink envelope taped together. "Found this on your table." "A love letter for me, huh?" He sat on my bed, grinning. "You know, my girlfriend and I broke up just last week. I've been thinking about going to prom with another girl. This Allie person might be what I'm looking for. Sweet. Thoughtful." He looked at me with an expression that he always made when he got a shiny new toy he wanted to take from me. "What do you think? I mean, I heard you guys were close. Think she'd say yes?" I stood there feeling like my feet were sinking into the carpet while he went on and on about the promposal, how jealous his ex would feel. I snuck out again later and started throwing rocks at Allie's window. She finally opened it and opened the front door. "Can we talk?" I asked. She nodded, stepping outside onto the porch looking confused. "What's wrong?" I ran my hand through my hair trying to figure out how to say this. "Daniel's planning this whole promposal thing for you. This Monday." Her face lit up in a way that absolutely killed me. "Really? Oh my God, I need to figure out what to wear and maybe I should." I grabbed her hand without thinking. "Don't say yes." She stopped talking and looked at my face, studying it intensely until she understood. She stepped back and laughed. "There's no way you actually like me, right? You've called me a nerd like 100 times. I stepped closer. "You're the first girl I've ever liked. How was I supposed to know how to act around you? I thought being mean would make the feelings go away, but they just got stronger." She stepped back, her shoulders hitting the wall. "This is insane. You destroyed my letter. You told me Daniel wouldn't be interested. You've been awful to me for months." I held my hand out carefully, moving her hair behind her ears. "Please, I can't watch you say yes to my brother when I'm standing right here telling you that everything between us, that was me falling for you." Allie shook her head slowly at me. "I don't know what to do," she admitted. "Daniel's really sweet and I've liked him for so long, but—" Her eyes filled with tears. "But he never made me feel the way you do when we're arguing about stupid chemistry homework. He never made me laugh until my stomach hurt. He never looked at me the way you're looking at me right now." I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "This is for you, if you choose me now." She took the folded paper from my hand but didn't open it. Her fingers just held onto it while she looked at me with this expression I couldn't read. "I need the weekend," she finally said. "This is too much to decide right now." I wanted to argue, to tell her that she already knew the answer if she'd just listened to what her heart was saying, but I nodded and watched her go back inside. The entire weekend felt like I was underwater, everything muffled and slow. I kept checking my phone, hoping she'd text me, but nothing came. Monday morning arrived and I walked into school feeling like I was heading toward an execution. The cafeteria was more crowded than usual during lunch, and I knew immediately that something was happening. Then I saw Daniel standing in the center with a huge banner that said, "Prom." in glittery letters, holding a bouquet of pink roses. The same color as that envelope I'd torn up months ago. My stomach dropped as students started cheering and recording on their phones. Allie walked in looking surprised, her hand covering her mouth as Daniel got down on one knee in this over-the-top gesture that had everyone in the room screaming. I stood frozen by the lunch line, my tray heavy in my hands as I watched her face. She looked happy. Shocked and happy. Daniel was grinning like he'd already won, saying something I couldn't hear over the noise, and then he held out the roses toward her. The entire cafeteria went silent, waiting for her answer. She took the flowers, and I felt my chest tighten so hard I thought my ribs might crack. "Yes," she said, her voice small, but everyone heard it anyway. The room exploded with cheers, and Daniel lifted her up in a hug while phones flashed everywhere. She didn't look at me once, not even a glance in my direction as Daniel spun her around, and their friends rushed over to congratulate them. I dumped my tray in the trash and walked out, not caring that I had class in 10 minutes. Later that day, I went to my locker and saw her at hers down the hall. I walked over, my hands shaking as I got closer. "So you made your choice," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She closed her locker slowly and turned to face me, and I noticed she wouldn't meet my eyes. "Where's the letter? Did you even read it?" She bit her lip. "It's still in my locker. I didn't open it." Something hot and angry rose up in my throat. "So you just threw away everything we had without even looking at what I wrote?" "I can't throw away months of feelings for Daniel based on a few weeks of chemistry homework," she said, and her voice sounded rehearsed like she'd been practicing this speech. "What we have, it scares me. It's too fast and too intense, and I don't trust it. Daniel is safe. Daniel is what I've wanted for so long, and I'm not going to mess that up because you suddenly decided you liked me." She finally looked at me, and her eyes were wet. "I'm sorry." I stood there feeling like she'd punched me in the chest, but then something shifted inside me. I wasn't going to just give up, not when I knew what we had was real, even if she was too scared to see it. Over the next 2 weeks, I made it my mission to remind her of us. I left stupid chemistry jokes in her locker, the kind that used to make her laugh until she snorted. I still saved her a seat in class even though she sat with Daniel now. When we passed in the hallways, I'd hit her with our usual sarcastic comebacks, refusing to let our connection disappear just because she'd chosen wrong. "Still following me around?" she'd say, but I could see the smile she was trying to hide. "Still pretending you made the right choice?" I'd respond, and for just a second I'd see doubt flicker across her face. But then Daniel would appear and she'd lean into him, and I'd have to watch them together knowing she was forcing something that didn't fit. Then everything fell apart. I was in my room when Daniel burst in looking furious. "We need to talk," he said, slamming the door behind him. "About Allie. About you trying to steal my girlfriend." My throat went dry. "She told you." "She told me everything. About your confession, about the letter, about how you've been leaving her notes and doing this whole campaign to win her back." He stepped closer, and I'd never seen him this angry. "You know what the worst part is? She told me she feels nothing when I touch her. Nothing like what she felt with you, but she's determined to make it work with me anyway because she doesn't trust feelings that developed so fast." He laughed, but it sounded bitter. "She asked me not to tell you that part, wanted me to keep pretending everything was perfect. But I'm done being her safe choice while she wishes I was you." I sank onto my bed feeling like the floor had disappeared. "So what now? Now you leave her alone. She made her choice and you need to respect it, even if it's the wrong one, even if she's settling." He walked out, leaving me sitting there in the wreckage of everything I'd tried to build. Prom night came and I stayed home while Daniel got dressed in his tux. I heard him leave to pick up Allie, and I lay on my bed staring at the ceiling, wondering how everything had gone so wrong. But 30 minutes later, I heard the front door open again. Daniel appeared in my doorway, still in his tux, but alone. He came and sat on my bed, and we stayed quiet for a minute before he spoke. "I brought her to prom, but I couldn't go through with it. I told her she deserves someone who makes her feel alive, not safe." He pulled something from his jacket pocket. The letter. My letter that Allie never opened. "I convinced her to read it in the car. She cried the whole time." He handed it to me and I stared at the creased paper, now worn from being folded and unfolded. "She's waiting at the prom. For you. Because whatever you wrote in there, it finally made her understand what she's been running from." I grabbed my keys without changing out of my jeans and threw on a button-up shirt, not caring that I looked nothing like prom material. When I got there, I found her standing outside the gymnasium holding my letter in her hands. "You came," she said, and her makeup was smudged from crying. "What did it say? The letter?" She held it up so I could see my own handwriting. "You wrote about the exact moment you fell for me. When we were arguing about the presentation slides and I called you an idiot for using Comic Sans font. You said you realized I wasn't some perfect fantasy. I was real and messy and argued about stupid things, and that's when you knew." She stepped closer. "Nobody's ever seen me like that before. Daniel saw who he wanted me to be. You saw who I actually am. We didn't go inside to the dance. Instead, we sat on the steps and fell back into our usual pattern, trading insults that were really compliments and laughing until our stomachs hurt." "So does this mean you're choosing me?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. "You're still not my type." But she was smiling as she laced her fingers through mine, and I knew that sometimes the best love stories start with a torn-up letter and end with someone finally being brave enough to choose the messier, realer thing.